Today's class will be very mellowed down. We're not going through inheritance, I want to, inshallah ta'ala, I want to conduct today's class in a very, very different way. Idhnillahi ta'ala. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala nabi al-Mustafa al-Mujtaba. Put your hand up if you have a sister. Wow, that's everyone. Put your hand up if your sister is younger than you. That's 99.9% of you guys. Put your hand up if you're protective over your sisters. What does being protective mean? Having ghayra. طيب, what would some of the practical steps that you take be in being protective over your sisters? Not letting your sister go out? So you go out but you make your sister stay at home? You're a smart guy. You're praising yourself now, طيب. Anyone else? So to basically monopolize and control them, right? So if they're mingling with the opposite gender, you have to let them know that this is not how you should do things. Educate them. Okay, anyone else? Giving them advice. What happens when you catch your little sister talking to boys on her phone? How would you react? Snatch the phone off her, yeah? We have a very different personality with us today, What's your name? Wasim. Nasim. May Allah bless you, Nasim. When you catch your little sister doing something that she shouldn't be doing, what would you normally do? Go and tell your dad? Mom, snitch her up, You know a snitch, You do everything except snitch. Okay, Nasim. How old are you, Nasim? 10. Allahu Akbar. Do you guys believe in something called what goes around comes around? If I need you to answer, I'll ask you. Okay? Don't push it. Do you guys believe in something called what goes around comes around? Isn't that though what the kuffar taught us when we were in nursery? Where are you going, Nasim? Listen, come in, Nasim, before you go. Next time when you want to leave, put your hand up and then you go. Yeah? These are from the etiquettes of class. But you put your hand up, you don't shout out, just put your hand up and the teacher sees you and then he'll let you go. Yeah? I haven't let you go yet. Now you can go. I believe in something called what goes around comes around. Is this something that is Islamic based? What do you guys think? Is it Islamic based? Or is it just them rhymes they taught us in nursery? What goes around comes around. Ma ra'aykum? It's a nursery rhyme? I'm a brother. Let me ask you a question before you sit down. What goes around comes around. When did you first come about, or when did you first come to know about goes around comes around? Very young. I remember I was in nursery. Let me ask you another question. Do you think this is an Islamic concept? Huh? Allahu A'lam. Jazakallah khair. That's half of knowledge. When you don't know something, you should say Allahu A'lam. We should all say something. You can sit down. What's your name, my brother? Huh? Edward. Welcome, Edward. What about you? What do you think about what goes around comes around? Is that just a nursery rhyme? What goes around comes around? Wala, is this an Islamic concept? When was the first time you came to know about this whole concept of what goes around comes around? Nursery? Who say the teacher? They used to link it with karma. By the way, karma, for those who don't know, it's a Hindu belief. It's a Hindu belief. However, it may sound similar to what we're going to be speaking about. However, that one's very different because they attribute that which happens in the occurrences that take place to other than Allah. To the universe. Is that clear? However, what goes around comes around. Excellent. I was coming to that. Allah yaftah alayk. Allah bless you. Who can give me an evidence from the Quran that proves this concept? هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان. Allahu Akbar. Which surah is that? Surah Ar-Rahman. هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان, right? Will one be rewarded with good except good? Any other evidences? من يعمل سوءا يجزى به. Whoever does evil, he'll be rewarded with that. You do evil, expect evil. You're good to the people, expect to be treated in that way. الجزاء من جنس العمل. الجزاء من جنس العمل. Whatever kind of treatment you decide to use with others, expect that back. Right? Also, there's another verse in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nisa talks about the orphan. When he says, وَلْيَخْشَ الَّذِينَ لَوْ تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا خَافُوا عَلَيْهِمْ. And you can also say خَافُوا عَلَيْهُمْ فَلْيَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلْيَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. You know how an infant, when his father or mother passes away, who's now going to look after him? Someone else has to look after him, right? This is the individual now that is what? The guardian of this orphan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses him. You know what Allah says to him? The one who's now looking after the orphan. Be extra careful and cautious how you deal with this orphan. Because remember, you are going to be leaving behind your own children. And then there will be someone else that comes along and might treat them the same way you are now treating these orphans that you are responsible of. Is that clear? Be extra careful, brothers and sisters. When you oppress others, it will come back to haunt you sooner or later. It will come back to haunt you sooner or later. 3 types of people's du'as are not rejected. One of them is da'watul madloom, right? The supplication of the one who has been oppressed. The du'a that he makes, it pierces to the skies, the heavens are opened. Heavens are opened. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَأَنصُرَنَّكَ وَلَوْ بَعْدَ حِينٍ. I will come to your aid and assistance even if it is after some time. By the way, for those who walked in late, we are speaking about the concept of what goes around comes around. You guys heard of that before? Huh? When did you first hear about it? Growing up somewhere. I heard it when I was in nursery, I think. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying to that individual who's in charge of the orphans, be very careful how you treat them. Tomorrow you will leave your own children behind and someone will come along. And perhaps he will deal with them or treat them the same way you used to treat them. Where am I steering this discussion to? Also, there's a narration that states, "Kama tudinu tudan," however you treat the people, expect to be treated, even though it's weak. Type. There's also a very powerful statement of Ibn Hibban al-Busti that he mentions in his kitab Rawdat al-Uqala. He says, "Ma ra'aytu ahadan takabbara ala man huwa dunah illa ibtalahu Allah bil-dhull liman huwa fawqah." I never ever saw someone treating those who are less than him in an arrogant way, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested him with someone who was greater and higher than him to deal with him in a similar manner. إِلَّا ابْتَلَاهُ اللَّهُ بِالذُّلِّ لِمَنْ هُوَ فَوْقَهُ. Right? He would be in a state of desperation, right? Humiliated by those who are what? Higher than him. I came across a statement of Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi. He said, "Man ضحك على الناس من ضحك على الناس ضحك عليه." Whoever makes fun of others is going to be laughed at. Putting all these statements and sayings to the side, have you guys witnessed and noticed things like that? Today he may have been treating someone a certain way and then it ended up happening to him. Right? Ma ra'aykum? That which I'm mentioning, is it outside of the reality that we face from time to time? Is it far-fetched? Is it something that you guys are alien to? You guys have come across situations like that, sahih? The reason why I asked you guys about whether you have sisters or not is because of something that I really want to mention now. And I asked you guys, how would you react if a sister fell into something that she shouldn't have fallen into, something that's inappropriate and whatever have you? One of the mashayikh one time that taught me when I was younger, told me a story. I don't think he told me that for a reason. This is when I was growing up, very young. I think I was maybe what? Year 4, year 5. Sorry, not year 4, year 5, maybe year 7 at the time. Came down to Leicester to participate in this Quran school, this Quran summer school. And I love stories, just like everybody loves stories, right? Sahih? We enjoy it. And especially if these stories have a benefit, it's worth mentioning. And our Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, is from our teachers in the Haram. When he's teaching a lesson at times, right, he would mention a story for the sake of benefit. Because these stories, people can relate to. Sah? So he told me a story of a group of brothers who went out to travel. However, they had a sister. They had a sister. And before traveling out, they went to a sheikh and they said, "We're extremely zealous and protective of our younger sister. We're leaving her behind. Right? We have this fear that someone may seduce her, entice her. What is it that we can do?" You know what the Shaykh said to them? Just make sure you safeguard the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set for you. Make sure that you safeguard the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set for you in terms of how you should treat women or how you should deal with the opposite gender. They were like, oh, is that it? And my sister will be protected. So, yeah, go. So they got off. So what happened was, they got off. They settled at wherever they were planning to stay in. One of them decided to go to the shop. Came across this woman that was extremely attractive. He couldn't hold himself except to reach out to her hand. And then she said, Astaghfirullah, you shouldn't be doing this. And he said, oh, yes, I shouldn't be doing this. And he went back to his home. What happened after that? Later on, to cut a very long story short, they came back to their home. And their sister was extremely distraught at something that happened. And she kept on saying, like, I'm extremely distraught. And I don't know how to explain to you guys and whatever have you. She said somebody knocked the door, I opened it, I thought it was you guys who came back, and then he reached out to my hand and grabbed me. And he asked me to have a relationship with him. And I told him, fear Allah. I told him, fear Allah. So they went to the Shaykh. And they were like, Shaykh, you said kada wa kada wa kada, that if we, right, safeguard the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set for us in terms of how we should deal with women, then our sister would be safe and nobody would do anything to her. So the Shaykh, he looked at all three of them and he could see in the eyes of one of them that he was the guilty one. They were like, we didn't do anything. And the Shaykh looked at that brother, is that true? Did you guys not do anything? And then he related the incident and they looked at each other in shock. And then he began to make sense. It began to make a lot of sense. Is that clear, brothers and sisters? كَمَا تُدِينُ تُدَانُ. A lot of brothers, they want to mess around with sisters, right? They want to have these inappropriate discussions with the opposite gender. But the moment someone does the exact same with their own siblings, becomes upset. Do you guys agree with that? While I was in Umrah, I was having a discussion with a brother in the Haram, in front of the Kaaba. He was telling me about how his sister's this and she's that. And every brother would be hurt that his sister would turn out like that. And at the same time, he's telling me how he has a relationship with maybe 4 girls. This is surprising, brothers. And he's telling me how he became extremely upset. And he also upset the family that she one time came out on Snapchat and then the guy or something, I think it was the guy himself, recorded her on her birthday or whatever, and that really made him feel a certain way. I'll tell you guys of an incident that my mum told me about. It's a true story. In places like the Khalij, Gulf areas that are so much more conservative, right? It's not as straightforward as somebody now going to the club, taking a woman out to the hotel. That's what they do, right? Go to the club, picks a girl up, takes her to the hotel, does all types of fahisha with her, and then pays for her taxi, and they go back home. Sahih? It's not as straightforward. They're so much more conservative, right? The sum'ah, the reputation, is extremely valued there, right? Valued. The tribes, they care about their reputation. So if one steps out of line, it goes wrong very, very quickly. So if he wants to commit a sin, he's not going to do it in the open. So my mom was saying to me that if you wanted to commit zina with another, there would be ways to get in contact with people. They would set it up. You'd walk into a building, the girl would be inside, the lights would be what? Switched off. You'd commit zina, and then you'd walk out, and then she would end up leaving as well. And that's how they would commit fahisha. You might not necessarily even come to know who that person actually is. Just wants to relieve himself, commits a zina, and that's it. Are you brothers with me? A couple of months go by, they find out that his sister is pregnant. What did we mention earlier? Kama tudinu tudan. And of course now the reputation of the family is on the line, right? What families sometimes tend to do is, as soon as they find out that the daughter is pregnant, what do? In order to conceal this bad reputation of the family, they get them married off very, very quickly. I think in Somali they call it the, what do you call it? Like marriage. Yani get it done very quickly. They are begging the sister for the sake of the family's reputation. Please tell us who impregnated you. And she's honestly saying, I don't know. Because I told you guys the situation of these conservative countries at the time, right? And then because the brother had a very good relationship with his sister, as she's about to give birth, he enters upon her and he begs her, I won't tell anyone. I'll make sure I'll conceal it. We'll try and make up a story. Let's just try and, protect the reputation of the family. And she's saying, I honestly don't know. So he tells her, tell me, what exactly happened? When, where, what? So she begins to describe it. It was on that day, in that place, across the road from that place. He said, yes. It was around this time. The brother walks out and he commits suicide. Why do you think he committed suicide, brothers? Because it was him who impregnated his own sister. It was him who impregnated his own sister. Before I left Saudi Arabia, me and the family, we took a taxi to Jeddah. And normally when you have a taxi driver, you begin to start talking to him, right? Just start having a conversation with the taxi man. And I said to him, tell me the situation here in the kingdom. You have a lot of youngsters, you have a lot of shabab, because I heard a lot of things that take place. And he said to me, listen, as a taxi driver, we see things that many people don't. Because we are the guys who drop people off. Are you brothers and sisters with me? He says, we as taxi drivers, we see things that many people don't. In some of these countries, brothers, you have compounds that people are not given access to unless you have a code. It's like where rich people live. Where rich people live, if you want to get into the compound where all of these very big, huge, lavish mansions are, you need a code to get in. So, the taxi driver is carrying a sister in the back of his car. Wallahi, brothers, he told me this as we, and sisters, he told me this as we were on our way to Jeddah. He said, I'm the one that's dropping her sister off. Where am I dropping her off to? A party. So we drive up, park the car in front of the mansion. There's a party going on. Right? So the sister now is dropped off, sah. As the taxi driver is about to drive off, they call him and say, come back, surah, come. And then they say to her, take this girl with you. Take this girl with you. She was in another taxi. However, the taxi already drove off. What happened? She walked into the party. Who do you think she saw? She saw her brother there. She saw her brother there. Of course, now the way she's dressed up, she's now arrived at this mansion in order to do what? To just have a cup of tea? Huh? These parties that happen behind closed doors. You think male and men. We're in Pride Month, by the way. We are in Pride Month. We do have male and men. على كل حال, you think when men and women get together, they just have a cup of tea, guys? Especially in a mansion that's closed off, and then you have rooms. In these mansions, everybody basically has their relaxed moment to do whatever they want. Think that they just have a cup of tea with one another? My mom used to say, right, men and women are like deb and suf. What does deb and suf mean for you Somali brothers? What does that mean? Fire and cotton. What happens when you take a lighter and you put it right next to cotton? What happens to the cotton? How long does it take before this cotton now? Milliseconds. Is that what they call it, right? Milliseconds, huh? Milliseconds. Not even seconds, minute, boof, it goes off. Men and women are like that. Do you guys agree? Every single person here, and don't try and act like some tough guy. If I put a woman in a room with you, right, alone, there's no one else there, how long do you think you're going to last? Brothers, an attractive woman who's not dressed appropriately, I place her in a room with you, how long do you think you're going to last? Wallahi, brothers, and I'm not saying this trying to be humble, right? I don't think any da'iyah, right, would feel safe in that kind of environment. And I'm the first of them. That's exactly what the Prophet ﷺ said. مَا تَرَكْتُ فِتْنَةً, I never left a fitna that is more greater upon my ummah than what? Women. Wallahi al-azim. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالدُّخُولَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. Be extra wary when entering upon women. Right? Don't do this. إِيَّاكُمْ وَالدُّخُولَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. You're being prohibited from doing so. So the Messenger ﷺ was asked about the hamu, who is the brother-in-law. أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ الْحَمُو? The Messenger ﷺ said, Al-hamu maut. The brother-in-law who is the closest to his brother's wife. The Messenger ﷺ said, he is death. He is death. Mingling with one another is like what? Dab is suf.